Oh, hello, hello, hello. Happy Monday, everyone. Welcome in right here, Fantasy Life on Sirius XM Fantasy Sports Radio. Kendall, Valenzuela, Adam, Ronis with you for the next couple of hours, breaking down everything we saw in week 7. There were some high highs, Adam. There were some very low lows. I told you this might be the week in guillotine leagues that I get chopped in one. It's going to come down to the wire. And then we've got doubleheader Monday Night Football tonight. It's going to be a great day, a great show. How you doing? How's it going?
Yeah, it's pretty good. Like you said, it's usually the same every week. There's some highs, there's some lows, some good things, some bad things. And, when you play in many leagues, there'll be some wins, there'll be some losses. So, yeah, overall, it was a slow start to the slate yesterday.
Yeah,
The early games were not great. And then we had some wild things happen in the afternoon slate.
it was crazy. I was at the Chargers Colts game, which for, Chargers fans, probably not the best, but I was sitting there like, yes, fantasy points everywhere. Jonathan Taylor scoring touchdown, Keenan Allen just being the favorite kind of receiver for Justin Herbert, and then an Oronde Gadsden breakout game. That was fun. But again, people around me, I was like, fantasy points. And they're like, no, we're losing. I said, fine. It's fine. Whatever.
I
We
mean,
have
they're
different priorities.
they're used to it though, aren't they?
Oh, don't do that to
No, I
Chargers
like the
fans this
Chargers. I
early.
want them to do well. I told you every year I used to pick the Chargers, and they'd always find a way to break your heart or do something. And even this year, the same thing. They got off to the good start, and it's like, oh, here we
I
go again
know.
with the injuries.
Yeah, it's brutal. It's absolutely brutal. But nonetheless, we carry on. I think the one where should we start with the bad news, the injuries, at least for Jayden Daniels? That was bad. It was not good. Again, fantasylife.com. Always want to point you guys in the direction. Adam does one thing we learned from every week 7 game. So make sure you go and check out that article. But just to start things off, because this is going to be the big story of the week until we figure out what's going on with Jayden Daniels, he is having an MRI today. So he left that game against the Cowboys with it was a right hamstring injury, did not return. The early indications or the things that the team was telling us was that it is not believed to be serious. But again, MRI nevertheless is going to happen today, and hopefully we get a good update from head coach Dan Quinn. Daniel said that he definitely wanted to return to the game, so I think that's a good sign, Adam, that he was like, I can go back in, let me back in. But again, this is a different injury from the left knee injury that took him out for 2 games earlier this year. So this is going to be a hamstring. So we kind of wait and hold our breath and hope that he's good to go.
Yeah, look, they have so many injuries right now. They were already shorthanded coming into this game with no Terry McLaurin, no Debo Samuel. So they even when he was in the game, they weren't looking sharp. Now, I think he would have
No.
wound up having a really good game statistically. He had 156 passing yards, a touchdown, and rushed for 35 yards and a touchdown. So he was going to get there fantasy wise. But I mean, the receiving core that he had throwing to, I mean, just a lot of inexperience there
Yeah.
with some of these guys. And then even Robbie Chosen is
What
on
are
the
we
team now.
doing? Like, what are we doing? I don't know. It
Yeah,
was.
so
I
yeah,
mean, he
that
at least got you 17 fantasy points. Because you said it. He was gonna. It looked like he was on his way to an even bigger day. But you'll take 17 from him and just hope he's good to come back next week.
yeah, I had a prop on his passing yards, so I know
Oh,
it
I'm
was going to
sorry.
hit, and unfortunately, he left the game early. So,
He said
uh,
no to
and
your
it
bets.
also, didn't, he leaves the game, and they didn't really push Dallas anymore. So Dallas really didn't need to do much the rest of the way. Uh, but yeah, Daniels is, it's a couple of injuries now, and that was
Yep.
one of the concerns that you had about him because he's not this big quarterback. Is what was his health going to be? And we've seen a couple of injuries already this year.
Yeah, it wasn't great. Again, you were happy, you were all right with the 17 fantasy points. You knew you were hopefully going to get more. And then like you said it receiving wise, I mean, like, Luke McCaffrey, zero
Zero.
zeros across the board. Absolutely brutal. It was Jalen Lane that came in, but I mean, it was they just spread it around. Robbie Chosen led in receptions, which is gross, but and wasn't on the bingo card. And then Jalen Lane came in with 3. You had Chris Moore in there. Zach Ertz obviously was involved. Jeremy McNichols had 2 receptions, and then yeah, the big one was Ja'Cory Krosky Merritt. We said this is a boom game because on paper, Adam, it was the boom game. If you're not going to put up fantasy points against this Dallas Cowboys defense, then you might have a tough time the rest of the way. But he had 13 carries for only 33 yards, and it turned out to not be a big Ja'Cory Krosky merit day. 4.2 fantasy points on those on 14 touches against a team. I don't know what I can't even look at it, but it was just it was bad. It was
Look,
unfortunately bad.
look, this happens in all sports, right? The worst team or the worst unit of a team, they're going to have a good game here and there. The worst pitcher in baseball is going to have a couple games throughout the season where you're like, where did that come from? And that was the case with the Dallas run defense because Krosky Merritt had no room to run, and he was coming off two really good games. And you figured this was a good one, and it turned out to be like probably his worst game of the year or one of them. And they fell behind, and then he wasn't on the field as much. Once they fell behind, they went more with McNichols, and then even Rodriguez snuck in and got a touchdown late. So,
Hmm.
yeah, this was just unfortunate for Krosky Merritt because on paper it looked like a great matchup for him, and it just didn't work out.
Yeah, I mean, the Commanders gave up those 44 points to Dallas, right? So then on the other side, you talk about just the game script, 409 total yards to the Cowboys as well. And they were left to throw for most of the second half, too. So that's the other thing you look at with Ja'Cory Krosky Merritt. But Jayden Daniels, again, having an MRI today. And we're just crossing our fingers at him because we can't have the quarterback injuries this season are starting to get a little bit brutal. So we can't have any more of those. Hoping for good news on Jayden Daniels. Um, you want to do Matthew Stafford early morning game in London? Good for one team, not great for the other. It's fine. It's fine. Everything's fine. If you had Davante Adams though or Matthew Stafford, it was almost like this situation, Adam, where they said Puka Nacua. Well, that's fine. No Puka Nacua, no problem for us. Stafford finished 21 of 33 for 182 yards, five touchdowns, five touchdowns, zero interceptions, and a 117.7 rating. So like I said, even with Puka Nacua not out there, you had Davante Adams scoring touchdowns. You had a ton. I mean, you had a ton of receivers getting work. They were really spreading the ball around and just saying, you know what, we're still going to go out there and win this, and they did. It looked easy. Adam, 35-7 win over Jacksonville in London for that early Sunday game, and he set an international series record, becoming the first quarterback to throw five touchdown passes overseas. There we go.
Yeah, just a dominant performance by them. I mean, Davante Adams didn't even have a massive game from
No.
yardage. I mean, you got the touchdowns. Like when they got inside the red zone, he was looking for Adams because he just had 5 for 35. But again, three touchdowns, so you're more than happy with the 8 targets. And then yeah, we saw the tight ends get involved. I mean, Colby Parkinson led them in receiving yards. Terrence Ferguson got a touchdown. Tyler Higbee was getting the ball early on. So they just spread the ball around, utilized a lot of tight ends. I think people were looking at, either Jordan Winnington or
Mhm.
Tutu Atwell. Atwell probably was limited by his hamstring injury he was coming off or aggravated it because he only played 10 snaps. Whittington led them in snaps and ran a lot of routes. It's just he didn't get the targets, just 2 for 9
Yeah, it
on
was
four
brutal.
targets. So, yeah, you. I think they're expecting Puka Nacua to come back. They have a bye in week 8, one of the
Yeah.
6 teams on bye in this
Bye,
big.
Mageddon.
So
It's
yeah,
time.
hopefully Puka comes back, and then when he does, it's Puka and Davante Adams. So you don't have to hopefully not worry about all these tight ends.
Yeah, hopefully not. I mean, and we know when Puka Nacua comes back too that Matthew Stafford. I mean, he showed that he can use any weapon in this offense. I think I read the stat by the end of the first quarter, he had a connection. He connected with I think it was seven different receivers, and eight players getting different targets. So we know when Puka Nacua comes back, it's going to be totally different. But honestly, the big takeaway for me here was it was nice to see because we talked last week about just Devontae Adams, Matthew Stafford getting in sync. And I think it is forced upon you when you don't have someone like Puka Nacua out there. You say, okay, well, now our chemistry has to really be good here. And I know it's Jacksonville, and man, that team is a little bit of I shouldn't even say a little bit of a mess, Adam. They're a lot of bit of a mess, but this did move the Rams to 5-2. Jacksonville Jaguars dropped to 4-3, and just still, Adam, still question marks on their offense. What are we doing with Jacksonville? It's just going to be one of those up and down. If you have Brian Thomas Jr., if you're a Brian Thomas Jr. manager, like a lot of us are out there, it just feels like this is how it's going to go the rest of the way. And to have Travis Hunter, his usage is also really confusing of how they're using him. And if you started him, if you had him, he had a good day for you, but Brian Thomas Jr. walked away with 6.1 fantasy points in this one. And then, like I said, Travis Hunter, a little bit confusing of how they're going back and forth and doing this with him. But what did you see from him? He finished with 24 fantasy points in this one, 8 receptions, 101 yards, and 1 touchdown for Travis Hunter.
Yeah, it feels like it's just gonna get better for him at this point.
Okay.
He had 12 targets. Yeah, it was a quiet like first half, and they did was pass pretty much in the second half. They had to abandon the run. They were down 21-0, so you saw 48 pass attempts from Trevor Lawrence. So yeah, I think you're encouraged with Travis Hunter going forward, and with Brian Thomas, he got banged up a couple times in this game, including late. Now they are going on bye, so we'll see if there's anything there that could keep him out. Probably not, but yeah, he was taking hits. He
He
left
had
the
some
game.
drops. He had some drops too.
Yeah, another drop. I
Again.
mean, that's a problem with him too. The drops have been too many, but it's also Trevor Lawrence too. He's just so
Yeah.
bad. He's all over the place. The offense looks out of sync. It just does not look good. So yeah, there's definitely concerns for Jacksonville going forward. They've been inconsistent. They've been up and down, and I guess it really comes down to matchups. But this is not. Oh, they come out of the bye and they face Vegas.
Perfect. That's a get right game.
It should
We
be,
could
yeah. I
you
mean,
and I could go out there and do that. Maybe they
so,
should call us up.
so we need a Brian Thomas big game there
Wouldn't
against
that be nice?
Vegas. But then after that, then they get the Texans, Chargers, Cardinals, Titans. So they got some matchups
That's
they
good.
can take
Okay.
advantage of.
I was gonna say that's not a daunting schedule coming out
No,
of the
Texans
bye.
will be tough, but I mean,
Yeah.
Chargers don't look impressive defensively right now. And
Yeah,
then
what that game, I was shocked with how many points were being scored in that game. They both just showed up and said, "Nah, we're okay. We won't play defense today." But yeah, I mean, Travis Hunter too finished with the career highs in 13 targets, 8 catches, 101 yards, 1 score too. I think Cohen, obviously, we know teams sometimes change things up going into that bye, and hopefully the changeup is that we see Brian Thomas Jr. A little bit more, but we know that. So you're a hold on Travis Hunter. I was going to ask you maybe even today if that's a sell high situation, or if you believe that that could be what we see Travis Hunter doing week in and week out now, a little
well,
bit
they've
more
been
on offense.
saying for a couple weeks that they wanted to get him more involved, and then a couple times we didn't
Yeah,
see it, and then we saw it in this game. So I think at this point too, they invested such a high pick on him that they're going to need to
they
use him.
did.
And if Brian Thomas too is going to be inconsistent like this, then you might see Hunter get more. I mean, Parker Washington had 10 targets in this game,
It
and then
was
they also gave
insane.
him 3 carries.
It's because they don't care about us, Adam. That's why they don't care about our fantasy teams.
But yeah, they're such a
They just
tough watch.
Oh, it was awful. It was awful. If you were watching that, you were just more saying, okay, maybe my player on the Rams could get a touchdown
Oh
from.
yeah, we
Yeah.
were watching for our
You were
players.
watching. Yeah, you were watching for the well, I was watching for the Rams, to be honest. It was brutal. Once I saw some of the Brian Thomas Jr. stuff, I was like, no, I'm good. I'm sorry to everyone that had to face, some of those guys, but yeah, that's how it is. Are we done with international games now?
No,
Or there's
well, next week
Oh,
there's none. We get a break for
okay.
2 weeks, and then there's 2 more.
All right. Two more left. We can do
Yeah,
that. All right. That's fine. Are they good? Do you have them in front of you by
one
chance?
Miami's in one of them. I think it
Uh,
was Miami,
what are we
Washington.
doing?
There was
Why?
one that was good. Let me see. So it would be week
Let me
10.
look.
It was
So
Falcons
that's
Colts.
okay. That's gonna
That's
be a
the
good
first
game.
one, and the second one is Commanders Miami. The Miami,
What are we
that's going to be a
doing?
tough one.
Why? What's with Miami?
I don't know. I mean, well,
What did we do to to deserve all of this? I don't know. And same question to the Jets. You want to finish off with the Jets here?
oh
Do you
boy.
think are you surprised or not surprised? I guess something had to change. They are winless, but I want to, we always say we're very transparent, we hold ourselves accountable. I did not think Justin Fields, well, first of all, I didn't think the Jets would be this bad. I didn't think Justin Fields would have to look over his shoulder this year. I figured that with the money given and everything going on, but it has been so bad, Adam, where Justin Fields, if you were not watching that game yesterday, Justin Fields was benched and they made a change at quarterback midway through this game, and they lost again against Carolina at home. So they benched Justin Fields for Tyrod Taylor, I believe, right after halftime. After
Yes.
halftime, they did that, and they were down 13-3. Didn't do much because they still lost that game 13-6, and it was the 7th straight loss to begin the season. They still haven't found their first win. Justin Fields finished 6 of 12 for 46 yards and had 22 rushing yards on 4 carries. And it just hasn't been good. But were you surprised by this? Or I mean, I saw Aaron Glenn, their head coach, say they needed to try and get a spark. Taylor threw 2 interceptions in the second half, and they did not get that spark, I guess, is what I'm trying to say here.
They have nobody to throw to. I mean, this
Yeah.
receiving core is a joke. If Garrett Wilson is out, like, what do you expect? It's a problem. I mean, Josh Reynolds, that's the guy that's your number one. He led them in targets with 9, caught 3 for 29. So they just don't have the talent in the receiving core. Brees Hall got banged up in this game too.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, Taylor came in. Cool. He didn't do anything. 2 interceptions, took 3 sacks. So it wasn't any better. They just don't have the personnel on the offense to succeed. And yeah, Fields. The one thing we've always said about Fields is for fantasy, he's always been good, even if it
Yes.
doesn't look picturesque. And at the end of the day, you looked up, you're like, okay, cool. But now, again, it's now. I mean, I guess we can't count yesterday. He didn't play a whole half, but we know it wasn't going to get much better, and it was
Yeah.
brutal once again. So now it's been 3 really good games and 3 really games that lost you the week. That's the problem. We haven't usually seen this imbalance. The Buffalo game, and yes, he left with a concussion, but I think that was in the third quarter, and he wasn't going to get. Well, maybe he would have gotten there that day on rushing, but probably not, because in that game he was 3 for 11 for 27 yards and 49 rushing yards, so he probably wasn't getting there. The Denver game was just absolutely atrocious, and it wasn't getting any better yesterday. So that's the thing, is he's got worse now because he's afraid to throw the ball. He's holding on to it too long, and I think it's because he doesn't want to throw an interception. Because the one thing he could say this year, he has yet to throw an interception.
Well,
But
great. But come
he
on,
doesn't take
Justin.
any chances. He'd rather take a sack and lose 15 yards than throw an interception.
It's it's brutal. At the beginning, I think Fields was and kind of still was the right lottery ticket to go in here, because this says, we've talked about it. Can Justin Fields really revive his career or look a little bit better? We've seen it with Darnold, we've seen it with Baker Mayfield, we've seen it with Daniel Jones, but now at the end of the day, the Jets are looking around and saying, well, we can't cash in on any of those lottery tickets. Like, we are not either lucky enough or good enough to be able to do that. So I agree with you, though, for sure. When I was watching that game back with Fields, he just looked, he looked scared to, unload the ball a little bit. And that's something that you have to work on. We talked about it last week, though. I thought Aaron Glenn on both sides, their defense stepped up last week too, but I thought on both sides that he did not have full trust in either side, defensively or offensively for this team. So I mean, it just goes down to, what are they going to do? I truly don't know, Adam. Do you think that they just go to Tyrod Taylor? It's going to be really hard to go back, I guess, to Justin Fields after what they've seen, but this isn't the Fields that we saw last year, where it was 6 games and he was putting up good, again, this is fantasy points, not talking real life football, but he was putting up good numbers. And so right now, you've said it, when he's on, he's giving you 25, 27, 29 fantasy points, but when he's not, it's 3 fantasy points. Again, this was Buffalo, he didn't finish that one out. It was Denver 4.9, and now just yesterday it was 4.4 fantasy points. It's been bad. You think they go back to him? They're
I
taking on
think
Cincinnati
they
in week
probably
8.
go back to him because, again, what did Taylor do to come in there?
Nothing.
And it's one thing if Taylor had played well and did give them that spark, but he didn't. And you're paying Fields all this money, so yeah. But they are a complete disaster right now.
They're
This team.
horrible. When do they win a game? How about that?
Oh, so they're at Cincinnati. They probably don't win that. You might have said a
No.
couple weeks ago, but after seeing Flacco come in there and the way he played, then they're home to the Browns, and the Browns got a really good
No. Yeah,
defense.
no chance there.
At New England, at
Nope.
Baltimore with Lamar Jackson, and I'm assuming they're going to start to play a lot better. Home to the Falcons. Home to Miami. Probably home to
All
Miami.
right,
That's going to
December
be
7th.
the crap bowl on December
Oh,
7th.
crap. You're hilarious. Yeah, December 7th. Let's mark it on our
They
calendars
might
and
only
see
win
that.
one game.
They
Then
could.
at Jacksonville, at the Saints. I mean, that's another
I know
crap
it's hard
ball.
to do, but is it a Jets season where they just don't win a game? Oh,
Uh,
that would be brutal. No, they played the Jaguars.
nah. Yeah,
Uh,
that's all in Jacksonville though. I
yeah,
don't know if
that's
they can
true.
win that game. I think the 2 winnable games are home to Miami and at the Saints, which they probably won't win. And maybe in the final week of
Loser.
the season at Buffalo, Buffalo rest
Because
everyone.
they
They'll
won't.
still
Yeah, they
lose.
won't.
They'll still lose.
No.
Forget it. Forget that.
Don't you feel bad for Jets fans? I
I
think we say
do. You
this
don't believe me,
every
but I
month.
really
No,
do.
I do believe you because you never usually say that about fans, but it's just they can't nothing goes right for them ever. Ever.
Nah, it
It's
doesn't. No
just
matter
bad.
what changes they make,
No.
whoever they bring in, it never works out. I don't know what this franchise did, why they're cursed, but it's brutal for them.
It is brutal. Let's continue overreacting here. It is an overreaction Monday. We're going to have the phone lines open here. But of course, if you've got questions for us at K Valenzuela 17 at Adam Ronis over there on X, 2 Monday night football games tonight. We know you guys are going to have some maybe some start sit questions or just questions about the games in general. But it is overreaction Monday, talking about the Minnesota Vikings, what they're looking like, and the Chiefs are basically just back at them, and we should just expect to see them at the Super Bowl. We're going to go through it coming up next. Oh, yeah, we're bringing the heat here with the music, too. This is a great song. No? You like this one?
It's okay.
Oh,
More
all right.
your
How can you
style.
not like Fast Car? You know who brought the heat? Rashi Rice. Did he not say, "Welcome me back, everyone. I'm here. I'm here to stay. Chiefs are going to the Super Bowl." It's an overreaction Monday, by the way, if people don't know. Overreaction Monday, though, and man, the winners in the winners circle, it's Patrick Mahomes and Rashi Rice after this game on Sunday. I mean, Mahomes had 26.24 fantasy points, and it was significant because we got Rashi Rice back, and he was able to come down, catching two of those short touchdown passes, had 23.2 PPR fantasy points, and he was right back in it as the go-to guy, it looked like, for Patrick Mahomes in this one. Fun to watch. And now this offense is just even scarier. It was something where we said, hey, we haven't seen Hollywood Brown, we haven't seen Xavier Worthy, and Rashi Rice, the three of those receivers, wide receivers, on the field together at the same time. And we got that yesterday. And yeah, you're locking all of them in, and you're basically just looking around now, Adam, and saying, yep, they're probably going to go back or at least make a very good run at a Super Bowl because they just looked so dominant.
There's just so much parity in the NFL right now, and one week a team looks really good, another week they look really bad. That's not the case with the Chiefs. Even though they are 4-3, you could see it. They're starting to put everything together, and there's very few teams that you would feel confident putting money on right now to get to the Super Bowl. They are right there. They're the top team for sure. I think they have Patrick Mahomes, so that's number
Yeah,
one,
that'll do it.
and he's playing the best we've seen in a while, and he finally has a full array of weapons, especially with Rice back. So, he's right there in that conversation to be even QB1 the rest of the year in fantasy, because he's running a lot, and now he's got his weapons. And Rice, they eased him back in,
Yeah.
but he was targeted a lot. He led the team in targets with 10, got the 2 touchdowns, only 7 for 42, but you'll take it with the 2 touchdowns. So, first game back after missing 6, was also coming off the injury. You'll take that. But, yeah, they're just a machine right now. They're rolling. I mean, yeah, it's easy to look good against Vegas, who's horrendous right now. But you look back and you're like, how did the Chiefs lose to Jacksonville?
Yeah, no
That's the
kidding.
biggest, right?
That's,
Like, what?
that's
But,
my biggest question. They started 0-2, remember?
yeah, no, and
That
I
was
think
one of
we
those
said,
ones where we said, yikes. What's
yeah,
going
but we
on?
knew they would be fine, especially when getting Rice back and all the pieces of the offense fitting together. And we're seeing it now. So
Yeah.
they have the Commanders next week on Monday Night Football, and then a big game at Buffalo against the Bills.
Oh, that'll be a great game. And then, the AFC West we talk about. I mean, they're going to meet. I think they meet up with the Broncos
The following week.
twice. Yeah. They
Oh
still
well,
because they
no, they
haven't
have
seen each other.
so they play at Buffalo, then they have a bye, and then they're
Okay.
at Denver.
Yeah. But the rest of they take on the Texans, which is we'll see what the Texans look like
The
in
Colts
mid-December. The
battle for the
Colts.
1 seed.
Wow, November 23rd. That's going to be a good game. And
Now
then
what?
they finish off with the Broncos and the Raiders on January 4th. But yeah, this team, I looked back and I just couldn't believe that we were talking about them 0-2. I'm sure we had overreactions for them at the time. We remember they couldn't score any points, and everyone was wondering like, hey, is this the year that we see it? Is the dynasty over? Of course not. Again, they get Rashi Rice back, and again, it's Las Vegas who has just not been looking very good to start the year, but they outgained the Raiders 430 34-95. I mean, they had 30 first downs and the Raiders only ran 30 offensive plays in this game. I
That's
told you during the
embarrassing.
break, I said you and I
30
could go do that.
plays? Like, that is
30 plays
insane.
total.
They
It's
had the
just,
ball for 17 minutes and 52
that
seconds. You
is
just don't see that in
insane.
an NFL game.
The Chiefs are 4-1. They're averaging right now 29.6 points per game. We will take that every single day of the week. And when we talk about who else you feel great about in the AFC, again, Overreaction Monday, there's a lot. I mean, the Bills have lost 2 in a row. They're going to be coming off their bye, so you expect them to really step forward. Patriots look great, but it kind of feels a little early to say, the Patriots are going to be that team. I think the Colts are definitely in the conversation. Broncos, Chargers, but this team with Patrick Mahomes it just looks really good. If you have Rashee Rice, this is exactly what you waited for. You hung on to him and you said, all right, and you played him and you were just happy about everything. So that's
The
all we can
crazy
say
part
about it.
is they're a game out of first in the division, and they're actually third place because the Chargers beat them, and they're both 4-3. I don't think most people would put all their money on the Chiefs to win that division.
Probably. Wouldn't you?
I would without hesitation.
Yeah, it's just I would as well. You were I think just a little bit more disappointed. Obviously, Rashee Rice got those touchdowns, but Xavier Worthy kind of fell down a little bit. 7.8 fantasy points in this one. He had 3 receptions for 35 yards off 4 targets. So that was the one where we said we know with Rashee Rice coming back, it's a lot of good mouths to feed between the two of them. But he was probably going to be the one that fell down the rankings just a little bit, and we saw that.
Yeah, it was also a blowout. He played the most
Fair.
snaps among the receivers, and he ran the most routes. So, and you did, they took a couple shots deep to Thornton. Hollywood Brown got open a couple times. So, yeah, he's gonna take a hit with Rice back, but in a more competitive game, he might have put up better numbers. And pretty much the starters sat in the fourth quarter too.
The Raiders. What are we doing? Come on. You and I can go out there. 30 plays. We could do that. We could do
It's
that by
just
the time the
so
show's
bad.
over.
Yeah, I mean, 30 plays, lose some yards, and
That's
3 it
fine though.
out, punt.
That's fine. Everything's fine. Oh gosh, it just blows my mind. One more here for Overreaction Monday. Is this the time out? You know what? My GST team, by the way, looking great after this weekend. It's ups and downs with this Eagles team, but Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown, they combined for 304 receiving yards, and Philadelphia Eagles won this game 28-22 over the Minnesota Vikings and avoided. We were worried about the 3-game losing streak, if that was going to happen in this one. You think we can welcome them back, or are we going to see this, highs and lows we talked about at the beginning of the show? You were very happy, though, with A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, and Jalen Hurts. They single-handedly carried my GST team this week. I was happy about it.
Yeah, it's probably going to be up and down, but we're at the point where if you have Brown and Smith, you just got to play them every week at this point because you can't just pick and choose. Because on paper, this was not a good matchup for them against this Viking secondary, and both had huge games. You mentioned Smith, and that was a career high for him, and then A.J. Brown, 121 yards, 2 touchdowns, 4 catches, only 6 targets, but the one thing is with this offense, when they do pass, it's mainly those two. We talked about Dallas Goedert, how it could not continue. He was getting 1 touchdown for every 5 receptions, could not last, and then he came crashing down in this one, just 3 catches for 18 yards. So, he's the guy that you have to worry about more going forward. So, yeah, we'll probably have another week where A.J. Brown has another down game and people are going to complain and want to bench him, but I think you just got to suck it up and play these two every single week. And the concern is the ground game because Saquon Barkley again did nothing. 18 carries for 44 yards, 1 catch for -2 yards. He's just getting hit really quickly. This offensive line is not the same. It's not as good as last year. And Barkley now has yet to have a game with 100 yards from scrimmage. He did it 13 times in 16 games last year. And he's 0 for 7 this year. So there were people who were leery of taking Barkley because, again, I did a lot of drafts where he would be falling sometimes 6, 7, and people would be shocked. But, a lot of it had to do with coming off that massive workload in the history of running backs. He's stayed healthy so far, but a lot of it is on the offensive line. I mean, he's just getting hit as soon as he has the ball. And the numbers, when you compare them to last year, are just stark. It's so bad for Barkley at this point.
And this was the game, like you said, it was supposed to kind of be the script was kind of supposed to be flipped between the receivers and Saquon Barkley. This was a little bit better of a game for Saquon going into it than looking at Devontae Smith and AJ Brown. But again, you said it, career high 183 yards for Devontae Smith, and then you had Brown catching 4 passes for 121 yards and 2 touchdowns. So you do have to keep playing them. I know from experience, we all know this, that it's going to sometimes just be really annoying to check your fantasy scores and see what they've given you. But even Jalen Hurts, I mean, 19 for 23, 326 yards, 3 touchdowns, and he had a perfect passer rating, 158.3. Let me tell you, you want to hear this gross stat for Saquon Barkley? It's going to make you cringe. Worst 2 running backs this season in yards per carry, minimum 50 carries. From the Ian Hart tweeted this morning. Zach Charbonnet 2.6, Saquon Barkley 3.5, or no,
Wow.
3.3.
Yeah, it's
That's not good
brutal.
company to have.
Yeah, if you took Barkley early, you're really regretting that right now when you
3.3
see.
yards per carry.
Yeah, it's been
That's, you
bad.
can't.
He's just no explosive runs either. That's the thing. Like last
Yep.
year, I was playing the longest rush for Barkley like every week, and it was an easy W. And now he's
And
just
you
not
can't do
getting it.
that.
They
You can't do
also,
that anymore.
they only ran 49 plays. They didn't have the ball. Minnesota had it way more. So, they were very efficient. Minnesota had 67 plays. I mean, part of it, Wentz would throw interceptions. So
Well,
they
yeah.
would get it right back.
That does help when Carson Wentz does that. It's brutal, but again, you're happy at least with what you saw from the receivers for the Philadelphia Eagles. We'll continue breaking down Saquon Barkley and what we should look at. They have their Week 8 going up against the New York Giants, who we know
Revenge.
are not easy. That's not an easy team to play anymore. We can't just say, "Oh, this team's playing the Giants. We are just going to
Giants
pick
will
against
blow it
them."
anyway.
Well, they might, but I picked Broncos in Survivor.
Oh,
That was
boy. What a sweat
Adam.
for
I was
you.
sick to my stomach. It was just the start of a really long night. Let me just say that. But yeah, finally got that win, but it was ugly, but we still got it. Speaking of wins, winners and losers from week 7, have to go through the guys that definitely helped your fantasy teams over the weekend, guys that hurt you, and what our expectations should be for them moving forward. We're going to break down those names here coming up next. Winners and losers from week 7, the guys that went hard, the guys that went home for your fantasy leagues here, presented by Mike's Hard Lemonade. And of course, Adam, another week, another winners and losers, and another Jonathan Taylor in the winners column. You could have drafted him in every league that you had, and it still wouldn't be enough because of what he is doing. I was at that game yesterday. Shout out to the Colts and Chargers, and it was just so fun to watch him. It just looks easy for him. For the third time in the past 5 weeks, he's given you more than 30 PPR fantasy points. He is carrying your team. He scored a season best 34.2 against the Chargers yesterday. And at this point right now, Adam, I know it's week 7. We've got a lot of time left, but that is a league winner. Despite being where he was being drafted, sometimes I would say right round second round he was
Yeah,
getting
he was going
drafted.
late second
Late
round.
second, sometimes at the turn, the 2-3 turn. But at this point right now, he has 179.2 points for the season, the most by any running back through the team's first 7 games since Derrick Henry did that in 2021. It's league winner Jonathan Taylor to you, and we just have to. It's his world, and we're living in it. Crazy.
It is his third game of 3 touchdowns in 5 weeks. So
it's just nuts.
he's also being involved in the passing game more, which is what I thought with Daniel Jones at quarterback. We might not have seen that with Richardson, but he's caught 23 of 25 passes. So that is what you like to see. And yeah, he's really just not had like a bad game this year. The one game, so there's 2 games he hasn't scored a touchdown. One was week 1. So in that game, he still gave you over 12 points in a PPR. And then against the Rams, he didn't score, but he had 76 yards rushing and caught 5 passes for 20 yards. So right there, you got at least 14. So he's giving you the high floor every week and obviously the high ceiling. I only have him in one league, and that league was undefeated coming into the week. I'll have to sweat it out tonight to see if I can remain undefeated, but a lot of it is due to Jonathan Taylor. So yeah, I think what happened was the reason why you saw him go later is for most of draft season, we weren't sure who the starting quarterback was going to be.
Mm-hmm.
And then at least I felt better with with Daniel Jones for Taylor because I thought that would help him get more involved in the pass game. And also, even though we've seen Daniel Jones run, just not as much lately, it also meant two less opportunities for a guy like Richardson to take those goal line carries away from him. But we saw last year Jonathan Taylor finish the season strong. I mean, if you go back and look at like his last 5 games, they were feeding him the football a lot. He was piling up the yards. He was scoring. So he's healthy. And, this shouldn't be a major surprise.
No, but it's still just
Well, we
crazy to
messed
see
up. We
what
should
he's
have
doing.
taken him earlier.
Need more of him. Need absolutely more of him. He should be in line for a big game again next week against the Tennessee Titans.
Just
Week
gotta hope
three,
they can keep it close.
I mean, week 3, he gave him what it was. He had 32.8 fantasy points in week 3. Or definitely over 30 in this matchup. So yeah, I mean, Jonathan Taylor, it's crazy what you're seeing. That was a high scoring game. I did not expect 38-24 to be the final, but no defense showed up. So it was fine. Alec Pierce was the leading receiver in yards. And then you had Tyler Warren over there with four receptions, 69 yards, 7 for 58 for Michael Pittman. And then, like you said, Jonathan Taylor is still involved in the receiving game. Three receptions for 38 yards in that one as well. It was fun.
What's crazy is, so we mentioned about how the erratic nature of the NFL and teams right now, like the Colts are just such a smooth offense that you feel good about them every week. Like you just can't say that about a lot of teams in the NFL right now. Even Buffalo, like, right, you look at them and they've had some down games. I'd say the Chiefs are there now. They weren't the first couple of weeks, but I think the Chiefs are there now. There are very few teams, though. Dallas, too. You got to say that about Dallas, right?
Yeah.
They're just every week they're putting up points. It's an average. So the Cowboys games are averaging like 61.1 points per game. So, but the thing is, there's very few teams that you could say that in the NFL about right now, like just on a week-to-week basis, okay, yeah, the Colts they're going to give us production every single week.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a well-oiled machine. And at the time earlier in the season, that's when we were allowed to be a little bit skeptical and say, okay, is this really going to be the Colts team that we see week in and week out for the rest of the season? Now, when we're going into week 8, we just have to, it's not even only accepting it. It's just knowing that they're a good team this year. And they have always had, this is what we said in the offseason, though. They have the weapons to compete. They have had the weapons to compete. It's just always been what the quarterback situation is. And so when it was earlier in the season, in the offseason, I should say, and they were between Anthony Richardson and Daniel Jones, it was like, okay, if it was Anthony Richardson, what did we say? We always said you have to downgrade the whole offense in fantasy. We just said that they would have to fall down the rankings a little bit. But with Daniel Jones leading the way here for this Colts team, it's been really good week in and week out. He completed 23 of 34, 288 yards, 2 touchdowns in this game. And they just continue to look really good. Again, 38-24, beating the Los Angeles Chargers. I will say another winner, though, was on the other side because, again, I was looking at the fantasy points, Adam, and the Chargers fans weren't necessarily happy, but Justin Herbert, Keenan Allen got you a really good game, fantasy point game, I should say. Herbert attempted 55 passes in this one because they had a 20. I believe it was 20 points they were down going into the second half, and it was Keenan Allen got you 28.9 PPR fantasy points. He had 14 targets, and you got 27.9 from Justin Herbert. So again, not a great real life game for them, but for fantasy, we're going to take that every single day that we can.
Yeah, it just set up for them with them trailing like that they just had to rely on the pass. You should have had expectations tempered for Kamani Vidal anyway. That was against Miami last week, so you wanted to see another game to see how that would pan out. Now, again, he still got most of the opportunities, so you like that, but they just really had to abandon the run. Yeah. And then, Oronde Gadsden, man.
Amazing.
I mean, last
breakout game.
Yeah, I picked him up in a league or two. I didn't play him, but I was like, it was even one roster was my third tight end. I was like, this guy's too good. Like, what if he starts to break out? And I wanted to have him on the roster cheaply. And boy, another big game. And they've been talking him up in the preseason. I know when you look at this team, you're like, okay, well, how are they going to be productive? Because you got McConkey, Keenan Allen, Quentin Johnston. But I just think they're a team that's going to rely on the pass a lot. Now, they're not going to attempt 55 passes every week. I mean, we would love that for fantasy. But he's playing too well. He was third on the team in targets. And I think he needs to be on rosters at this point.
Yeah, we talked about him 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
And we said, "Hey, get this guy on your team now because you're going to because at the time you didn't have to spend much. Now he's close to the very top of my waiver wire article, which you can find at fantasylife.com 100% free. His targets have gone up. I want to say every single week. He started, week 1 against Denver was 7, then it went down to 3 and 1, but the last 2 weeks it's gone up to 8 and 9. He had 7 receptions in the last 2 weeks, and it was 164 yards against this Colts team with 1 touchdown. 68 yards last week up against Miami. So he is definitely at the top of my list of someone to definitely go and get, especially with the buys coming up. We've got 6 teams on a buy this week. It is the buy-mageddon, the only time we have 6 teams, thankfully, but you have to prepare for it. And Oronde Gadsden is a guy to definitely go and get. We're going to continue on. Again, this is the winners and losers, the guys that went hard, the guys that went home for our leagues here, presented by Mike's Hard Lemonade. Let's go through some guys that went home. We mentioned Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt already. Have to go through that. Jalen Waddle, where are you? Alvin Kamara, please, we need you. We're breaking down those names coming up next. We need to start your SoundCloud like we've said.
Yeah,
why aren't we doing that?
I don't know. We got to get it going.
Get really famous and rich. Don't forget about us when that happens.
I won't.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
I'll get you Mariners tickets.
Stop. I'm going to throw up. I'm so nervous. I can't. This is going to be the longest day of my life. It's fine.
Tough.
Right.
Seahawks and Mariners at the same time.
Stop. Don't
talk about stressful.
Well,
damn.
It should be. Well, no.
Oh, that's true. Yeah,
the baseball game isn't going to be over, but the game's at 5.
Nah, they'll definitely be on at the same time. Baseball starts
for sure. They're
at 10 p.m.
overlap.
Eastern, and football's 10 Eastern. So
8:10? Are you sure it's 8:10?
8:10 is what I'm looking at right here. They're trying to. What time did you think it was?
I thought it was way later than that. No, it's not at 8:10. It's at 7 my time, Pacific.
What? I see 8:10 p.m. Eastern.
Where are you?
The game.
You guys
time.
are talking about 2 different things. The football game is at 7 Pacific.
Yeah,
the baseball
what are you
game
talking
is at 5:10
about? Okay, yeah.
Pacific.
I was talking about the Seahawks game. The Seahawks game's at 7 my time, 10 your time.
Yeah, 10 Eastern.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what are we doing? We need to get on the same page here today.
You're distracted. You're so
Adam,
nervous.
I'm distracted. Okay, I am distracted
very nervous
today. Oh, you can't even tell me. This is gonna be the longest day of my life. Anyway, we're back. We're back on the same page here. Week 7 fantasy losers, though, guys that did go home for your league, unfortunately, presented by Mike's Hard Lemonade. Well, you know what? Let me start with this. Caleb Williams. What the heck?
Loser.
That was bad. Yeah, tell me about it. It was one where I started him because obviously I'm going to start him in some of these leagues where I'm looking around. Career worst, 4.68 fantasy points in this one. Here's the thing. They didn't need to do a lot in this game for the Bears to win this game, but it was still really disappointing. They were fine, kind of leaning heavily into the run, but he couldn't get much going. So 4.68 fantasy points for him was so disappointing.
Yeah, it was. I did start him in a couple leagues too, and it's absolutely crushing. But you mentioned it. They just ran the ball very well. I mean, Kyle Monangai got involved a lot more. It was still mainly Swift, who had now second straight game of 100 yards rushing, 19 for 124 and a touchdown on the ground, caught a pass for 4. But yeah, they just had a lot of success on the ground. They didn't really need to pass. They had a 20-7 lead at the half, so they were pretty much in control of this game. And yeah, they were just very effective on the ground. Even Roschon Johnson made an appearance and had an 11-yard carry. So yeah, they just ran the ball very well, and they didn't need Caleb to do much. And it sucks because it crippled the passing game. I mean, DJ Moore, Rome Odunze, second straight bad game for him. Just when you were feeling really good about him and like automatic start, it's 2 down games. Now, the game last week, he should have had a touchdown. It was nullified by a penalty. He is getting open, though. So I'm not really worried about it too much. But yeah, this was just a game where they just had a lot of success on the ground.
They did. Again, 4.68 fantasy points, career worst for Caleb Williams. Last time, we'll just say something bad about the Las Vegas Raiders, but 4.4 points out of Ashton Jeanty. You knew with them not really running that many plays. He finished the game with 6 carries for 21 yards. He had 1 reception for 13 yards, and they're heading into their bye. So, they return week 9. At least.
Yeah, look, if someone's panicking on him, I would send an offer and try and get him.
Buy low?
Yeah.
I like it. At 4.4 points, you can't, well, I say it can't get worse, but sometimes it can. All right, we are heading over to the water cooler. Make sure you call us in. Phone number 888-963-2682. Going through the news and notes you need to know. And of course, you can send us a message on X as well. So make sure to call in. We are here for you. News and notes, water cooler next. It is about that time for the Fantasy Life Water Cooler. This is where we go through all the pieces of news that you might have missed over week 7 and make sure you are all caught up heading into the double-header Monday Night Football game tonight. Kendall, Valenzuela, Adam Ronis with you right here on Sirius XM Fantasy Sports Radio. The phone number to call in, 888-963 2682, or you can press that new call-in button on the SiriusXM app. You can also send us any messages you have at kvalenzuela17, at Adam Ronis over there on X, because we know you guys are busy, but we want to make sure we're answering as many questions as we can. And the one place that you can get all the help that you need is fantasylife.com. We've got the newsletter in your inbox 7 days a week, 100% free as well. And we also have an amazing offer for you right now, and it is going to end soon. So if you've been thinking about getting Fantasy Life Plus, now is the time to do it because you can get it 100% free. So you just have to go to fantasylife.com/comet, COMET. It is an AI powered browser, acts as a personal assistant, thinking partner. You can use it during Sunday's games. You can get all the stats. It can remind you which leagues and platforms you need to update. It's amazing. I've been using it, and for a limited time, you can get Fantasy Life Plus for free when you download Comet at fantasylife.com/comet. So all of our rankings, tools, projections, everything you need, Fantasy Life Plus free for a year. So make sure you go and download that. Make sure you're calling us in, and we're ready to go here, Adam. You ready? Overreaction Monday, lots of news to get through. One piece of news that we don't have yet is, but we do have a little bit of an update, I will say. The update is that we have no update. Tom Pelissero saying that Justin Fields, Aaron Glenn says he's consulting other coaches who have been in this position before, deciding how to proceed at quarterback. So right now, Aaron Glenn says he hasn't decided on his quarterback yet. But if you missed it, Justin Fields was benched. If you have Justin Fields in fantasy, obviously you probably had someone else already on your bench because of, the injuries that he's sustained so far this season, and just maybe because of his play as well. But you would have to go a different direction. Where do you think they go? You think they go back to Fields, or you think they go to Tyrod Taylor?
Probably Fields at this point, but again, it's not like Taylor came in and did anything special, but they're going to need Garrett Wilson, whoever is the quarterback, because this receiving core is really bad. I mean, I was hoping for a better game for Mason Taylor. I think he can be good, and just wasn't involved enough. He got a few receptions from Taylor to make his day decent, but should have been better. But probably doesn't matter who the quarterback is at this point for the Jets. They're just so bad.
It's really bad. I mean, yeah, the receiving, it was Tyler Johnson led in yards, just like we drew it up, Adam. 3 receptions. And it was just spread out all over the place. Mason Taylor had 3 receptions for 31 yards. Josh Reynolds, 3 receptions for 29. He had 2 to Isaiah Davis, 2 to Allen Lazard, 2 to Breece Hall. Arian Smith got in there. Yeah, Arian Smith. One reception, 0 yards, but absolutely brutal. Again, Justin Fields. The thing is, though, Adam, is that whenever he's in, we had this conversation last week. He was inside. I was the ranker that had him out. He was right at 12 for me, QB 12 going into the week. And it's really difficult to rank someone like that because of what he can potentially give you on the ground. It's a very different conversation when we're talking fantasy football production and real life NFL production, because we know there are 2 big differences between them. But for Justin Fields, yeah, we'll see. If Tyrod Taylor is named the quarterback, is he someone you're picking up, or are you going a different direction with streamable quarterbacks?
No, only in a super flex league, because any quarterback that has the ability or is going to start is going to be on a roster, but no way. Not even in any other league. And I think now you do have to change things for Fields, just because we've seen 3 absolutely atrocious games where he lost you the week, and now you do have to worry about him getting pulled in a game. So I think you really significantly, if he is the starter, you're going to have to move him down, and it's going to be difficult. I don't think you could trust him the rest of the way. You just can't. I mean, again, in the past, we've seen whenever he was the starter, most weeks, or he would finish as a QB1. But now we've seen 3 examples here where the floor was just extremely low, like embarrassing for a quarterback. I mean, 45 passing yards last week in an entire game. So, yeah, I know it was Denver, but, I mean, Jackson Dart, rookie, went in there and made it look, not easy, but was able to perform, and Fields couldn't against that defense. So, yeah, I think we do have to change the way we view Fields right now.
We should get an answer sooner rather than later. But again, this morning we saw Aaron Glenn at the podium, and he had really no update about which quarterback he was going to turn to going into this week. So we just get to sit and wait, Adam, and sit and wait to see who they decide to go with. Who are they playing this week?
Bengals.
The Bengals. I mean, no, we can't do it. Don't let me go back to Justin Fields. Another one that we have to talk about, though, is Tua Tagovailoa was also benched in his game, and this was a blowout loss. This team is not helping anyone try and keep their jobs, but Miami is now 1-6, and it just got way worse in this game. 31-6 loss against the Browns. It was rainy. It was windy in Cleveland. That day was their third straight loss for Miami. And again, they're going to 1-6. And Tua Tagovailoa completed just 12 of 23 passes for 100 yards, 3 interceptions, and then was benched for the rookie Quinn Ewers in the fourth quarter. I want to say it's unclear who's going to be the starter moving forward. I have a quote here from McDaniel saying that everything is on the table with quarterback Tua Tagovailoa. So that's going to be one of the bigger headlines this week as well, is just thinking about his job security, everything else. The question that was asked to him was, what will your conversation be with Tua after this game? He mentioned, looking at the tape and everything, but the big quote was, everything is on the table. When you go to a game, you fully know you have the capability to win and get handed a very, very humbling loss. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Guys need to be professionals and step up to the plate. So we'll see. We'll see what happens there. I mean, everyone, Tua Tagovailoa had a bad game in this one. Jalen Waddle was a fantasy loser for you as well. What do you think they do here? You think they go to the rookie?
I think they might have a new head coach soon. This is just a complete disaster. Waddle did get hurt in the game late too, so keep an eye on that. We talk about it every week, how he gets banged up and leaves the game, comes back, but this was late in the game. Darren Waller has a pectoral injury. He's going to get an MRI. So, yeah, this is just a complete disaster on the board. We should have known. It was nice,
I know,
for Waller to come along, but he is older, was out of football last year. And, of course, now he's hurt. So we'll see if it's serious or not, because, again, they do need him in this offense. But, yeah, it is. Would you give up 31 points to the Browns?
It's bad.
Yeah. You
bad.
always say it can't get any worse. I think it can for Miami.
I have to stop saying
getting
that.
worse.
I really do have to stop saying that, because the universe, the fantasy gods show us that it can get worse. The Dolphins, I mean, I said this, they did not play like a team that was trying to help its head coach out in any way, shape, or form. And so you have Quinn Ewers coming out there, and the Dolphins had 94 penalties in the first 3 quarters, and it was, I know the weather was bad, but still, you cannot do this. Cleveland won. They only gained 206 yards of total offense, by the way, Cleveland. We're going to talk about.
Cleveland didn't need to throw. They just gave it to Judkins, who hilariously did not get his rushing yards prop. Like, that was steamed up all week. It got into the 90s. I was with people
that bet that, and they were just
tilting because I think he had 71 in the second quarter or something like that, because he had that 46-yard run. Because I was looking at it all week, and I'm like, yeah, I bet his anytime touchdown instead. But because it just kept going higher and higher, I was like, yeah, it's in the 90s. I was like, I think he's going to get it. Like, if you would have said, what do you think? I'm like, yeah, he'll get it. But I just saw that. I was like, damn, man, that is just brutal. Because he got 25 carries, and he still didn't even get to 90.
It was nuts. We have a whole not segment dedicated to him, but he is definitely a winner for you. So we'll see. They would have fired McDaniel by now, right?
You would think, but it's the team is lost right now.
I don't think even if they fire him, like, because we talked about this with Tennessee, who did look a little bit better, but I don't know if we see do you think we see a bump for this team if they let go of him? I don't think so.
Again, like you said, you brought it up with Tennessee, like the stats show in the past that teams either win outright or cover when they make that coaching change. And that did worry me a little bit this week, but I'm like, I don't see it. I didn't see it with Tennessee because I took New England in one of my survivor pools.
Nice.
And then it was 7-0 early in 10-3 Tennessee. I was like, damn it, I should have went with the coaching bump, but I just didn't see it with Tennessee.
No.
I just felt New England, too, with Vrabel going back there would be well prepared, and they're just a better team. So, again, the percentages show that the team plays better with the coaching change, but there are always going to be exceptions, and we saw it with Tennessee.
Jayden Daniels is having that MRI today, something we let off the show with, but just making sure everyone knows he left that game yesterday against the Cowboys, right hamstring injury. So different injury now for Jayden Daniels. The one that kept him out for 2 games was the left knee. So now this is right hamstring. I think the better news, or something that we can lean on, was that Jayden Daniels did try to go back into the game and said he felt all right. But still, an MRI is going to tell us today if he needs to miss any time, and we're hoping that he doesn't, because that would stink. Darren Waller, like you said, undergoing an MRI. It's a pec strain that he got against the Cleveland Browns yesterday. And I don't know, Adam. I mean, we can't go a week. I wish I had less to write about for the waiver wire article, but your Cole Kmet went down with a back injury. Bryce Young messed up his ankle a little bit, so he's definitely going to be getting tests today. Kendre Miller had a knee injury. Dontavian Wicks had a calf, and I think that's it. Oh, Jalen Waddle. What was Jalen Waddle?
I didn't see what it was. I saw him on the ground.
Cold, rainy. No, I'm kidding.
I don't know if it was his back or something, because he took a hard fall. And, it's Jalen Waddle, though. So, like,
we do this every week.
Yeah. And then, it was late in the game. So,
yeah, he was cold. I get it. It's understandable. All right. You want to go out to the phone lines? We got to go out to the phone lines. This will make it a little bit better here. 888-963-2682, or you can press that new call-in button on the Sirius XM app to get your questions answered here. So let's go out to the phone lines. Let's start with, Fantasy Meatball from Tennessee. What do you got for us?
Hi, Adam and Kendall. I am playing against you guys in the FFT, and I don't know if I should actually ask you guys for advice. I'm only kidding. I'm sure you would give me the right advice.
Yeah, definitely.
We're only 10.12. Yeah, I don't know about you, Adam, but that's okay. I'm just kidding. Okay, so I have Kenny Walker against Tampa, and I have David Montgomery.
Do you have anyone on bye this week?
Stop.
Oh, wait a minute. I'm sorry. I got that. Yeah, no, I got that right.
Yeah.
No, I don't.
Don't listen to Adam. Get out of here. We're still giving good advice.
Are you serious? He's playing against us. You would really give him good advice?
Yes, of course I am. Because we need to win with.
I probably should have asked if I should do this.
No, you definitely can do this. Adam's not answering.
I'm going with Montgomery.
Yeah, I think Montgomery
I
is
have
the
Montgomery in my.
Yeah, I think.
Don't believe
Adam.
Kendall. She would go with Kenneth Walker.
Get out of here. I would not. I do like David Montgomery in this one.
The Giants lost.
Exactly.
Giants lost, Cowboys won. He's in a great mood.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Kendall.
No, you're fine. No, you're fine. Adam, you would go with David Montgomery. Even if Fantasy Meatball didn't tell us he was playing against us, that's the right call in this situation.
Tampa's really good against the run.
Adam.
They are. Do you want me?
Yeah.
Right?
Are you telling him to start Kenneth Walker?
60 yards, baby.
Are you telling him to start Kenneth Walker?
Yeah. Well, he's not wrong on that.
Yeah, I would.
He's not wrong on that. But I would go with Montgomery.
Yeah, I would go with Montgomery. You had Walker in though. Why are you changing now? Come on, go with your gut instinct.
Get out of here. Get out of here.
Taking your expert advice. Yeah.
All right.
That's why.
Oh my gosh, too funny.
50,
We would.
Good luck, guys.
Good luck to you too. Thanks for calling in. You would go with David Montgomery.
That's
Adam.
a spicy meatball.
You would go with David Montgomery in this one. No?
Yeah.
It's a higher total.
It is a higher total. You need Montgomery to score a touchdown though. Tampa's given up 4 rushing touchdowns to running backs. They just don't allow a lot of yards. That's the only thing.
Is this going to be the Kenneth Walker breakout game, and then Fantasy Meatball's going to call us back and say
they did say they want to use him more, right? There were some quotes about that.
They've been saying that though.
I just honestly I don't get it one bit at all because Walker has been so much better than Charbonnet. It doesn't make any sense to me. I know you keep saying they're trying to keep him healthy, but really, you can't give him more than 10 carries in a game? Like if he gets 14, he's going to get hurt?
What's more frustrating is that Zach Charbonnet isn't running away with the job.
Right,
either.
he's doing nothing.
That's the one thing that makes it even worse than the situation that we already have, is that he's not doing anything. So those two really are, it's hard to trust either of them when you have Kenneth Walker getting outsnapped by Zach Charbonnet, 10 carries to 12 last week. And for the fourth time in 5 games together last week. So Walker hasn't cleared 12 fantasy points in a game since week 3. Charbonnet hasn't gone over 12.4 points in a game this season. So that's the only thing I look. This Houston Texans defense hasn't allowed a running back to reach 12 fantasy points since week 2. Does Kenneth Walker have the talent and the ability to do it? Yeah, but it's just asking if the Seahawks are going to give it to him. That's why I would go with Montgomery.
The Texans have faced some pretty good running backs too.
No,
They've allowed 5 rushing touchdowns to running backs, but 9th fewest fantasy points. They don't allow a lot in the passing game to running backs. And I mean, look, Kyrie Williams needed 18 carries to get 66 yards. Bucky needed 17 to get 71. ETN 16 for 56. Pollard 14 for 64. Derrick Henry 15 for 33. So yeah, they've really limited running back. So they both have tough matchups here, and they're both in splitting too.
Yep.
So you would probably lean towards the better offense, and Montgomery
higher
maybe
total.
gets that second drive of the game, and they go down the field, and maybe he caps it off with a touchdown or throws a touchdown.
Hey, there we go. Look, now we're thinking. Now we're talking here.
Hopefully not.
What are you?
I'm hoping he gets 9 points.
Oh, stop. It's gonna be fine.
I need a more competitive partner next year.
What are you talking about?
You're like, oh, it doesn't matter. No,
it's for charity. I'm having a great
doesn't matter.
time.
I want to win.
Oh my god, I'm not gonna tell Fantasy Meatball to go away. I'm not answering.
Winners.
Yes, I want winners. Let's go.
Get out of here.
Taking applications for a new co-owner next year.
Oh my gosh, Tony from
You
California.
played to win the game.
I'm winning the game. We are winning. Tony in California. We're still going on the phone lines. What do you got for us?
Good morning. Thank you for taking my call. So I am down 1 point. I have Seattle's defense. He has Tez Johnson. What do you think my odds?
1 point from Tez.
Well, so you really want Emeka Egbuka to play tonight, and I cannot believe the way the week has progressed with him. When I saw he was practicing on Saturday, I was like, what? I was like, yeah, he's not going to play. And then a lot of the reports sources indicate that Egbuka is likely to play. Now, I hope they know what they're doing. You don't want to mess around with a hamstring injury. Hopefully it was really mild and it's not a big deal, because you don't want to put this kid in and he aggravates and now he's out 4 to 6 weeks. So if Egbuka plays, because I'm expecting Mike Evans to play too, we still don't know about him, but if both those guys play, that's not good for Tez, and he's reliant on a big play. So there's a chance Tez gets like a 0 or like 2 points. With Seattle, the defense, it depends on the scoring, right? They've been pretty good at getting sacks, and Stroud could throw a pick. So I would say your chances are, pretty good if Egbuka and Evans play.
Yeah, I can't believe when I saw that report on Saturday, I thought, first of all, I just thought it was wrong, to be honest. I just figured, I was like, oh, it's not Egbuka. Someone saw someone else. But there is a chance today that we see Emeka Egbuka out there, and you said it, and I think that's for all fantasy managers and just everyone in general, because Emeka Egbuka has been so fun to watch for the NFL, and he's been such a good rookie that you just hope that if they are putting him out there, that he is good to go, because if he re-aggravates it or makes it worse, that's going to be some time that we're going to miss with him. So that would be disappointing. Let's finish things out here. Let's go out to Jace in Texas. Jace, what do you got for us?
Hey, guys. So I'm up 66 points, and I've got Woody Marks, and he's got to hold off a battalion that consists of Sam Darnold, JSN, Jameson Williams, the Seahawks defense, and the Bucks kicker. What are y'all thinking?
Oh, no. I'm in the same spot too, by the way, Jace. I'm facing basically everyone that they could have drafted from Detroit. So up 66 points. And this do you not think this could be close here, Adam? Or it's really leaning on the Seahawks game. I've seen people, and I talked with, who did I talk to about this? Gene Clemens, who you do your Sunday shows with. He said he liked the under in that Seahawks game. So I think that's going to be the bigger one. If Darnold, JSN are held a little bit, Jameson Williams too has had an up and down season. I think Jace is going to win this, but I do think it's going to be closer than it should be.
Yeah, you just can't have Darnold and JSN go crazy. You can't have JSN score 2 touchdowns. The total is low. It's 41.5. Obviously, they're expecting way more scoring in the Detroit-Tampa game with the total of 52.5. So, yeah, usually with a 66-point lead, you're like, oh, I'm good. But when you only have one, and Woody Marks too, like, what's his role going to be? It looked like he was taking over the backfield, and that last game, he did not have a big game. But if they are trailing, that will help him, right? You would think he'd be more in there in passing situations. So the problem is, if they are trailing, that means maybe Darnold and JSN were putting up numbers. So
it's a really big push-pull here when you have these specific players. I think you're going to win, Jace, but it's going to be close, unfortunately. I have the same thing, Adam. I'm going up. I thought it was totally fine. And then I'm facing a JSN team and a Baker team. And I said, oof, that might be a little bit brutal, but we'll see how it goes. Appreciate you all calling in. We had Fantasy Meatball, we had Tony, we had Jace. Anyone else that wants to call in, the phone lines are open, 888-963-2682. We're continuing on throughout the show here. We are going to go through the best around presented by Xfinity. It is time to talk again about Quinshon Judkins, how good he looked, Drake May as well. We're breaking down those players and more coming up next. This is the best around presented by Xfinity with an amazing song choice, by the way. Imagine all of your football all in one place. Easy Xfinity. Imagine that. And you know who was the best around? It was Quinshon Judkins. Yet again, Adam. Again, you could have drafted him all over the place, and it might not be enough for what he did. We did have there were some big fantasy days. Christian McCaffrey as well yesterday when we're talking about running backs, Jonathan Taylor also, but Quinshon Judkins in this one, 25 carries, 84 yards, 3 touchdowns, and 26.4 fantasy points for you. So he really was, the best around. I don't think, when we look at those numbers and you hear that the stat line, he didn't really produce efficient numbers. It was 3.4 yards per carry. But he did see a career high in carries with that 25. And he had the red zone touches, which is exactly what we want to see. And those 3 touchdowns were all on attempts from inside the 5-yard line. So you're looking good there. He's great.
Yeah, look, you saw a really bad game from him last week where they fell behind and, he's not heavily utilized in the passing game. And he only had 12 carries for 36 yards. But every other game this year, he's been good. And they're going to feed him the football. And especially if they get some positive game scripts, it's even better for him. So, yeah, and some people got him in the double-digit rounds because there was a period where we didn't know when he would return. What was going to happen with his off-the-field issues. And, again, some people got him for a steal. I mean, to get a guy like that in the double-digit rounds, we all know if he had no issues, he was going in probably the 4th, 5th round, right?
Yeah.
At that, if we knew there was no issues.
I remember I was in a draft with Dwayne, and he took him in the 6th before we knew anything. And we were like, whoa, that seems really high. But obviously, he knew the potential.
Yeah, and he's looked like the best running back in this rookie class.
Yeah, he's looked. What was the stat I just told you? Let me get it from
the scrimmage yards for the rookies.
Yards. It's just besides Travion Henderson, because we can't have completely nice things. But Ian Rappaport tweeted this out not too long ago that we're in the middle of a historic season for the rookie class. They've combined for the most scrimmage yards and scrimmage touchdowns by any draft class through the first 7 weeks ever. So that's including Cam Scatteraboo with 587. Then it's Ashton Jeanty, 531, Quinshon Judkins, 529, and then Emeka Egbuka at 478. And 4 rookies already have 5+ scrimmage touchdowns in 2025. So yeah, that's besides all the guys that we drafted, Travion Henderson, RJ Harvey, it's fine.
Yeah, I was going to say it's impressive when Henderson and Harvey are in that conversation.
My goodness. Those are just going to be chalked up to bad draft picks this year.
Yes, I mean, as of now, yes, but we have seen many times rookies do nothing for 6, 7, 8 weeks and finish strong. As bleak as it looks right now, and it does, but whether it's an injury or something changed, it's still possible. I know people don't want to hear that now because they're probably been starting Henderson a lot. No one's going to start him this week, I can tell you that.
No, you know what they're not. No, but there was an injury. There was an injury for that team, and he still isn't doing anything.
But Stevenson still has been the main guy from the beginning.
And Stevenson looked, 18 carries for the 88 yards and a touchdown. He did look good in that game. So,
yeah, it's hard to argue because he's been good.
except for the fumbles. That hasn't been good, but whatever.
Right, but he doesn't get
you know.
penalized for it.
It's fine. Hey, Drake May, having a really good season too. If we're talking about the best around, I want to say the overall best. But he's looked good. He's completed 75.2% of his passes for 1,744 yards, 12 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, and a passer rating of 116.4. And it's just, he's just looked good. I think that's the only way we can say it. This is not necessarily the best season by a Patriots quarterback ever, because I did see that going around since it is an Overreaction Monday. But for May, he's in a lot of good conversations. And if you got him in fantasy, we've said this before, he's really been doing it for you. He finished yesterday 21 of 23 for 222 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. And he also, best around, set a Patriots single game record by completing 91.3% of his passes. So it's impressive.
Yeah, and more importantly, rushed for 62 yards on 8 carries. That was one of the aspects we loved about him. His rushing ability, and it's been up and down this year, but he's up to 200 rushing yards through the 7 games, 2 rushing touchdowns. Patriots also won their 3rd straight road game as well.
Yep.
Usually tough to win on the road in the NFL, and you get those occasions where you get 3 straight. So yeah, the opponents weren't great, but the Buffalo win was still a great one. And they're now 4-0 on the road, so they're looking good. And yeah, Drake May was definitely someone I was very high on, and this is why. I thought he had the ability to put it together. I thought Stephon Diggs was a good addition. He had a bounce back game again. Could have had a bigger game last week on a stupid penalty that they took away, a 52-yard play. But Diggs starting to get acclimated with May and playing a little bit more as they ease him in. So, again, he doesn't have the best array of weapons, but he does enough to get the job done. And, I get a lot of questions with Drake May every week.
Oh, really?
Just
start say questions?
Yeah. I forgot. It was like May and like Daniel Jones and May and can't remember the other one, but I'm just like, it's mostly May every week.
I would understand it if people, because he was going late enough where you could have gotten
him with Mahomes
a
or
more elite, quarterback. And then, if you have Mahomes, you're just going to.
You're going to play Mahomes
nice?
every week.
Mahomes and Drake May on your teams, but
I would make a trade if that was the case.
He was going late enough where I could see it, but yeah, Drake
May and Dak, that's kind of tough, right?
Yeah.
I don't know what I would do there. I guess it's based on matchup. I mean, look, May has the high floor because of the rushing. Dak doesn't run, but Dak is now 4 straight games with at least 3 touchdowns, and he hasn't thrown an interception.
And man, his fantasy points besides 2 weeks, besides week 1 and week 3, because it was against Chicago and Philadelphia in week 1, he's giving you 22, 30, 28, 22, 23. I mean, it's good consistency there from him as well.
Yeah, so I'm looking, this is 6 points for a passing touchdown, points per game. Dak is 4th at quarterback.
Oh, yeah. It makes sense. He was inside. I think he was my QB3 this week, if I remember correctly. I can go back and look at my rankings, but yeah, it's been, it has been.
Stafford is up to QB5.
Yeah. Hello.
And 6 points for a passing touchdown.
You seen his the back issue? No problem. Remember when we talked about that?
Yeah. And that is the reason why Puka fell in some drafts. There was a period where Puka fell to round 2.
I definitely passed on him in GST.
I took him, but it doesn't matter. Everyone else I have is hurt.
Oh, stop. It'll be fine. It'll all get better.
Really? Go look at my roster and tell me it's going to be fine.
Hey, you know what? I had a great week this week. You want to talk about my team?
Yeah, I did not.
That was the best
my
around.
My team's in shambles. Oh, wait, this is the best.
Brought to you by Xfinity. This is the best. That's what we're talking about. My team right now. Just
yeah.
It's been a slow roll with that team. Brought to you by Xfinity. Imagine all your football all in one place. Easy Xfinity. Imagine that. We're talking with Jonathan Von Tobel here, going through the Monday Night Football game, seeing which side he likes, and going through early lines for Week 8. We're gonna do it coming up next. Fantasy Life right here with Jonathan Von Tobel, on-air host and betting analyst over at VSiN. Jonathan, we couldn't play any more Colts rejoins because we've just been hyping them up all day. So we had to do one for Adam here with the Cowboys looking good in that game. How you doing? Welcome in.
It's great, man. It's really cool. I mean, they haven't been good for a while, so it's just cool to see them and to we don't know yet. There's still plenty of time, but the fact that I might see, or is likely I'm going to see a Colts playoff game for the first time in a while, is a ton of fun. I'm an Angels fan and I'm a Clippers fan as well. So there's not been a ton of fun in my household when it comes to successes in the postseason. So it's nice to have a good team to root for.
The Angels. What are you doing to yourself? Why?
You're born out there. Well, because so
Okay.
I'm an LA guy. I was born out there. So when I was a kid, Peyton Manning was great. So that's why I became a Colts fan. But then I realized I had to do it when you tie it back to your hometown. So luckily, I chose the Clippers and the Angels instead of the Lakers and the Dodgers.
There we go. Yeah, just totally good decisions being made there for you. But again, Jonathan Von Tobel right here, on-air host and betting analyst over at VSiN. We've got 2 Monday Night Football games tonight. They should be good ones. Tampa Bay, we can start there, taking on the Lions. Lions are at home in this one. Spread sitting at 6. Total is sitting at 53.5 the last time I looked. But just overall, your overview of this game and your preview of what you expect.
Yeah, I feel like this is maybe one of those straw that breaks the camel's back type games for Tampa Bay. To use one more analogy, if you will, if you're Breaking Bad fans, right? He can't keep getting away with this type deal. Yeah. I like Tampa Bay a lot. I like Baker Mayfield. He's got a very strong MVP resume, but you would assume that you can only deal with so much in terms of injuries and overcome them. But having said that, I mean, you do take on a Lions secondary that is pretty beat up and is putting guys on IR consistently, and obviously a suspension as well. I think this ultimately leads to, like, I have the millions out here at Circa. My last leg is Detroit minus 5.5. And I think this is one where you get a high-scoring game, but Detroit can still cover this number. It's why that we've seen this move toward the over and toward Detroit. I think that Baker Mayfield and the Bucs will be able to put up theirs. I think it leads to maybe some opportunities in the prop market, like Baker Mayfield over his passing yards. But I think ultimately this is going to be one where they just can't continue to overcome these situations. So, like the Lions here, I would expect we close 6.5 a vast majority of the spots around town.
Yeah, you mentioned some of the player props. Is there anything you're looking at? I mean, with Tampa Bay, Mike Evans, we expect to play. We don't know about Emeka Egbuka. You mentioned passing for Baker Mayfield. So how do you attack the player prop market in this game?
Yeah, I think it's just that, right? I mean, Mayfield, he has been great when you look at his ability to throw the ball downfield. I think the fact that there's the injury in the backfield, too, to Bucky Irving, so that's going to be something to monitor for Tampa Bay, where I don't think you're going to be able to rely on this. And it's just one of those things where if you look with Branch suspended, Kirby Joseph, Terry Arnold, Levante Maddox all out, you would assume that the strategy here is going to be attack this secondary as much as you possibly can. So whether it's Mayfield over his passing yards, I think at last look it was floating around like 247.5 or so. I think it maybe got bet up a little bit higher than that. It's up to like 250.5. I still think that's playable. I think you can go in the attempts route as well, potentially, when you're looking at 33.5. He's averaging 32.5 per game, so it's really right in his wheelhouse. And if that truly is a secondary they're going to go after, one would assume in a multi-possession or a high-possession game, that is played relatively quick, which I think we're going to get here, you can go over those numbers with Mayfield.
A lot of big fantasy players still yet to have been played so far. So this is why these games tonight are going to be so fun. We've got callers calling in. They're like, I'm facing everyone on Detroit. I'm facing everyone for Tampa. So that's why we like that game a little bit more when we're talking about, if you have a chance to win and you have guys playing in that one just because of the total. Because on the other side, 41.5 when we're looking at the Texans and the Seahawks. Spread there is sitting at 3. Seahawks at home in this one with a lot going on for Seattle sports fans tonight. So we're just taking a deep breath, Jonathan, and hoping everything's going to be fine. But overall, what are your expectations in this game? Did you like the under in this game? Because we've been getting questions on that one a lot.
By the way, I feel that my main guillotine league, I've got 4 guys that have yet to go. So they're all tonight. So it'll be decided. But so to the under, I would agree with that. I mean, so for those who maybe aren't too familiar, 41 is a somewhat key total in the National Football League. So that is the number across the board. I think there's a reason why, obviously, since it's a key number, there's no 41.5s out there. So the push still in play. So if you can get like a 41.5, I'm looking at like an ESPN bet that has it, but it's shaded to the under at minus 120. I could see it. I mean, I'm not somebody. There's kind of this, I think, notion that Houston come back in this AFC South. I think the Indianapolis Colts are obviously making that much more difficult for them. But I just don't buy this offensive line. I mean, he's been pressured on over a third of his dropbacks. He's sprinting out of the pocket almost every single time, a la Justin Herbert now at this point. And I don't think you're going to be able to, against a front that likes to throw those stunts at him, that's going to be able to pressure him. They're not going to be able to run the ball against. That I think this is going to be a pretty ugly game. I would also say, too, so first off, I like your Seahawks there, Kendall. I think that they're in a spot. I think there's a reason, too, why this is 3. And I'd also say from a prop perspective, I think you can maybe look at Stroud in terms of completions. I think one of the things we've seen in recent weeks and going over, I should say, to supplement a really bad run game, they've been doing these like high percentage throws to get the guys out in space to kind of supplement the run game via there. I mean, you look at the last couple of games, he's gone over this prop. If you're talking about 21.5 and 3 straight, he's completed 25, 22, and 23. I think we're seeing a higher volume and higher percentage type passing attack to supplement for a bad offensive line. Get the ball out quick and get a different type of rushing attack. And I think that leads to Stroud potentially going over completions again.
When you see someone like Jackson Smith and Jigba, so his receiving yards prop is anywhere from 85 to 89.5. He's been destroying this on a weekly basis. He's gone over in every game except one. Like, how do you evaluate that? Because it's a high number and he's been going over it. Do you just keep hammering it, or is there something in this matchup that gives you a little reluctance to go over?
So I think there's a couple of ways to look at it. I'm always a proponent of, if you're somebody who has been betting it over, so if you've been there since like day one or day two and you've been getting the most out of it, I would tell you keep going because you have been cashing in. But if you're somebody like me or anybody else for a vast majority who maybe are just kind of catching on late, I wouldn't really be doing it because not only are you buying at the top of the market, you don't have any other cachet, if you will, built up from the other times you bet this thing and the market has adjusted. So I tend to kind of look in the direction of, look, the market adjusts every single week. There's going to be a premium that you pay as you move on going forward. You know, to bring it to an ATS perspective, there's a reason why you don't go 16-0 ATS or 0-16 ATS because the market constantly adjusts. And I think that's the same thing for these props as well. I would tend to look under, especially when you talk about this matchup. I think Sam Darnold's great. I think the Seattle team is very good, but this defense has been consistently good. And it's one of the reasons why the Texans have such a high floor. And if there was a game in which this thing was maybe going to dry up, at least in terms of getting over the total, I would assume it's a game against one of the better secondaries and defenses in the NFL.
Again, talking with Jonathan Von Tobel here, on-air host and betting analyst over at VSiN. Before we let you go, have to ask any early lines that you're looking at for Week 8 in the NFL. I know we've got 6 teams on a bye. It is Bye-Mageddon this week, so you're a little limited in what you can see, but has any team or matchup really jumped out to you?
Yeah, I think there's a couple. I mean, so I'll say this really quickly. I'm very pro Carolina. I really like this team a lot. We saw that Bryce Young went down with the ankle injury and Andy Dalton came in. I think from a point spread perspective, there's not that much of a difference between the two. And I love this Carolina running game. If you're going to tell me that maybe they learned and that Rico Dowdle is the guy after that the performance this last week, I think they can stay inside of 7.5 at home. They've been a much better team at home. They can run the ball. I like Canales' run scheme a ton. And I wouldn't be surprised at the very least if this came off 7.5 and you were sitting at like a flat 7 throughout a majority of the week. And I'll say really quickly, I know it's a short week. What in the world does this offensive line look like for the Chargers? I'm surprised this is 3 on Thursday. I would grab 3. I know how the Vikings have looked, but I think this defense can probably get after them. When you have backup tackles going down with injury now at this point for the Los Angeles Chargers, Alt probably plays, but I think LA laying a key number is in a tough spot.
Amazing.
By the way, Tom Pelissero just reported that Bryce Young has a high ankle sprain, so he's unlikely to play this week. They're hoping it's 1 week, but we know usually you miss more than that. So it looks like Andy Dalton's going to start.
Sure. I think you can make the argument, too, that I don't think it's a true upgrade, but I don't think you're missing anything. Putting in Andy Dalton for Bryce Young, a guy like that who can step in for 1 or 2 starts and give Canales exactly what he needs at quarterback.
That's fair. I love it. Jonathan, thank you so much for joining us here, and we'll get to see you next week. Appreciate
Thanks a lot, guys, as always. Have a good week.
All right, there he goes. Jonathan Von Tobel here, on-air host and betting analyst over at VSiN. Find him on Money Moves Monday to Friday, countdown to kickoff, and live bet Sunday is where you can find him all over the place. We'll break down this Bryce Young, a little bit of breaking news here for him, and then preview again these 2 games for Monday Night Football. We're doing all of that coming up next. Great show so far today. Shout out to our producers, Tim and Faith. Just great. And Brian over there as well, doing all the great stuff behind the scenes for us. Monday Night Football preview. We've got 2 games tonight, but first, just to tell you the news again, we got it a few minutes ago when we were talking with Jonathan Von Tobel, but Bryce Young did suffer a high ankle sprain on Sunday. He got that MRI, and that was reported again just a few minutes ago by Tom Pelissero. He is expected to miss this week's game against the Bills. Andy Dalton in line to start against Buffalo, and maybe beyond that, Adam. I mean, we've seen more timelines. We know that they want to say maybe it's just going to be a week, but we've seen timelines closer to 2 to 4 weeks with those high ankle sprains, depending on how bad it looks, or if he takes a little bit longer to heal and rehab from that. But especially this week, we're not going to see him.
Yeah, and he's a mobile quarterback too that we do look to get some rushing yards. So this could, even when he returns, maybe scale him back a little bit, because that was one element of his game that we start to see last year to finish the season. We really though haven't seen it as much though this year, which is kind of disappointing.
A little disappointing for sure. Panthers take on the Bills this weekend. Panthers are at home, and then they are on the road against the Packers, face the Saints at home, and then they finish out for the next 4 weeks. They also have the Falcons on the road.
He's been held to less than 200 passing yards in every game except one.
Wow, that's brutal.
That's insane. I mean, he's got 198, 199, but still, they, you know what? And I think you're going to see this with those two running backs now, with Dowdle and Chuba, that they're going to just rely on the run a lot and just not ask the quarterback to pass much.
Rico had 17 for 79 yards yesterday, and then Chuba Hubbard had 14 for 31. Bryce Young, two carries for 10 yards. But yeah, I agree with you. They're just going to ride those guys a little bit. Xavier Legette had a big game though. Nine receptions, 92 yards, and a touchdown. It was impressive.
Yeah, he did, with Jalen Coker back, who was limited.
Yeah, I think Jalen Coker, it's going to take a little bit of time. I don't think we expected him to look amazing coming out to start, but be patient on him. I wouldn't drop him just yet in those deeper formats. Monday Night Football, Buccaneers Lions. What do you expect here? The big thing that people are waiting for is Emeka Egbuka. He has the potential to play in this game, and you're hearing that right, because on Saturday they said that he was back at practice. We are hoping that Mike Evans is good to go this week as well, because they need him. This is a extremely shorthanded Bucs team at wide receiver. Chris Godwin is going to be out. And again, I'm shocked to see that we are at the point where Emeka Egbuka could maybe start tonight. I just get a little bit nervous at him. We always say, hey, if the coaches and the team and the player believes that they can go out, then they must be in an okay spot to start. But this one makes me a little bit nervous with that hamstring injury, because we were expecting him to be out minimum 1 week, maybe a couple weeks with that hamstring that he had last week.
Well, the good thing is, if Egbuka does play, he will not be asked to block all night like George Kittle last night coming off an injury. So that's the good thing there. Yes, look, with Egbuka in the leagues that I have an alternative in either of tonight's game, I have waited to put him in. There were a couple where I didn't have the option, or I had like really good options, and I said, I'm not going to wait. If the team does put him out there, I'm going to have confidence to play him. Teams can make mistakes, but the fact that they're leaving the door open for him to play shows that I guess this really is mild. Again, there's still a chance he sits, but if he's out there, I'm going to play him. The Bucs have had this magic, winning all these games in the final minute, and while Detroit's secondary is dealing with a lot of injuries and they're shorthanded, I do think Detroit wins this game.
And this is a perfect example of why we say, if you have players on Monday night, you put them in the flex, because you can make these changes. This is the perfect example. If you had, if you didn't do this and everyone was locked into your flex, you only had, let's say, a running back spot available for tonight. Maybe you're playing David Montgomery. You wouldn't have been able to switch him out. Not necessarily to say you would switch David Montgomery for Emeka Egbuka, but this is the perfect example of what we mean by saying the later games, you always put closer to the flex spots, just in case some guys either get hurt beforehand or they're good to go in a surprise turn. Texans, Seahawks, your expectations in this one. I mean, we're going to be watching, of course, Jackson, Smith, and Jigba and everyone else there, but I'm looking at the running back rooms for both of these guys, or both of these teams, I should say. Woody Marks, Nick Chubb. They worked in a committee, so it was tough to trust them going into this game. The Seattle defense has given up a ton to running backs through the air, but almost nothing on the ground is what you look at there. And then Kenneth Walker and Zach Charbonnet continue to make us want to pull our hair out and scream.
Yeah, because Walker clearly is the better back. Charbonnet has not been efficient with his touches, and yet they keep going with this split. You hope it changes, but until we see it change, it's really difficult to play either back unless you're desperate.
Who are you taking in that one? Seahawks?
Just like the Mariners, the Seahawks are going to get obliterated tonight.
What?
I got you. I'm just kidding. I like the Seahawks. I said
I had my hands up and everything.
I like the Seahawks.
Dang
tonight.
it. Say go Mariners. You have to make it.
Go Mariners.
There we go. Bucks Lions? You taking Lions, right?
Lions, yeah.
Yeah, I am too. Appreciate everyone hanging out with us. You're the worst. Get out of here. We'll see you guys same time tomorrow.